Jacques, first of all,
Yes.
First, good afternoon, gentlemen. Can I ask you, Jacques, just as a setup base now, for an ignorant person like myself, what is the purpose of this 3-week camp person? Why is it so important for you guys to start this 3-week camp?
The purpose of the camp?
Yeah.
Preparation, in short, preparation for the Rugby Championship, first of all. And then obviously, then flowing out of that, the warm-up games going into the World Cup. So yeah, probably preparation for Rugby Championship, firstly.
How is it different to the alignment camps you guys had in Durban though, and this longer camp you guys had this summer?
Okay, the difference between the camps that we had in Durban, we almost called them mini camps. So I think first of all the focus of those camps were probably giving guys that have not played in knockout rugby, like a lot of the Japan-based players basically finished 6 weeks from ago. You know, the guys who didn't go into the final stages. So it gave us an opportunity to get some rugby into their bodies and to get them physically ticking over. So it was the first mini camp, if I can call it like that, in Durban was, I think there was only 9 players on the field. So the focus of that, you can think, you can't do a lot of tactical stuff. So it was a lot of fundamental and conditioning. Like I said, they haven't been exposed to rugby for about 3 weeks before that mini camp. And then, but we also did a lot of alignment stuff, you know, so a lot of board meetings or meetings with the players. And then the second mini camp, there was a little bit more players, but we didn't necessarily have a full team, 1 to 15 per position. And then, so now we've got we've basically almost got 2 full teams that can train against each other. So from a rugby on-field point of view, we can do a lot more tactical stuff now.
How difficult is it to keep your eye on the Rugby Championship ball as opposed to sort of looking further down the line?
Yes, now I think for us, yes, the World Cup's the big one probably in this year, but for us it's all about the first game against Australia. So now our eyes are fully on that ball. Things will change. We've got a plan set out for Rugby Championship, and then obviously for the 3 warm-up games, and 3 taking the Argentina game, which is outside of the can I call it the window of what will determine who's winning the Rugby Championship, the last Argentina game. So almost taking that as a warm-up game, and then obviously Wales and New Zealand, and then going into the World Cup. So yeah, so probably 3 stages: Rugby Championship, the first 3 games, and then those 3 warm-up games, if I can put it like that, and then going into the World Cup. But fully focused on rugby, the Rugby Championship.
Jacques, I know in the past you've said that one of the challenges at this stage of the year is to get all the players coming into the camp from Japan and Europe on the same level. Yeah. Are you happy with that this year in comparison to previous seasons?
Yeah, I think obviously if you look at the players that's here, they've been probably the majority of them have been with us over the last, can I call it post-COVID? From 2021, the majority of them have been with us, so I think there is some sort of alignment already between them. But yes, that's always our challenge. You know, if you think where our players are coming from, there's pros and cons. I think we're over 25 clubs joining and getting them aligned. And I don't want to call it the Springbok way, but getting us all aligned that we are thinking the same way is probably our challenge. But the positive of that is you do get a lot of IP from different competitions, different clubs. So that's a positive. Negative is getting everybody aligned. Yeah.
Jacques, are you able to praise us again on where Sia is from fitness perspective, while also updating us on Captaincy and France Sia?
So the first one, fitness.
Sia.
Yes, yeah. In terms of Sia, yeah, he's currently, we mentioned in the past, he's currently hitting all his targets still. That's set out for him, so he's on track. And I think, Rassie, I think you spoke to the doc this morning. I think you mentioned we're aiming for that warm-up games that
Yeah. So see, as we had a meeting this morning with the doc, if he can play one or two of those matches prior to the World Cup, that's a target at this stage, and as Jacques says, he's hitting those things. And Kurtley,
Kurtley is probably joining us today in full training, and the other one was France. Thank you. Yeah, no, I don't think. I spoke to France probably a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and he was still seeing the specialist. But I can't comment on what their decision will be. But I think it will be extremely tough for him to get in now where he is medically in the Rugby Championship. So I think he's probably the guy that the longest off, but I think it will probably up to him and these medical guys. I will speculate on that, but he said he doesn't see himself, and again he didn't speak to the doctor, so he didn't see himself being ready to train with us in this part of the preparation for Rugby Championship.
Can you just give a word on Andre Pollard's fitness? He had a bit of a niggle when he was over in England.
Yeah, listen, there also Ras had a meeting with the doctor, and we had other stuff, but on Andre?
Yeah, I think if you look at the whole squad, out of the 40 guys that's here, sorry for answering what you asked, Jacques, Andre has got he got on the calf again. It's going to take a little bit longer. Initially we thought he'll be back now in the next week or so. I think he'll definitely be part of the Rugby Championship. When exactly is how he's progressing, and yes, last week it's confirmed that it will be a little bit longer, and also maybe to add to that, Damien Willems also got a knock on his knee. So at this stage where we had 3 fit fly-offs in the 3 of them, including Mani, the only one really 100% running now is Mani, but then the other 2 we know during Rugby Championships or just before Rugby Championships, definitely in the Argentina match, the 2 of them will be 100% ready. So we're running a bit thin at 10. And then, Dion Fourie is having a little bit of a niggle, which he's getting over. Apart from that, all the other guys are fully fit. Scrum-offs, Jaden is coming on nicely. And yes, Kanan is cleared. I think I've covered.
Yeah, Eben.
Eben will be, we'll think, middle of Rugby Championship, end of Rugby Championship.
Coach, you mentioned now the number 10s. Does that mean that the door is completely closed on Elton's participation in the Rugby Championship?
No, the doors, as I said in a previous press conference, sorry, can I answer that one? Prior to the Rugby Championship, we had three tents, and in each position, we've got 40 players here, and we have to cut it eventually when we go to the World Cup just by 7 players. Now, we all know if you play 6 test matches prior to a World Cup, there's going to be injuries. And in the current squad, there's currently 4 or 5 guys limping, which we're getting to, they're almost there, and then you get a little setback like Andre. And in each position, we feel we're well stocked at locks at this stage, But if even all of a sudden is injured again, then, we actually just have enough locks to go to a World Cup. So, yes, no, definitely a guy like Elton, the way he's been playing over on that side, we'll consider him. And in all other positions we will. But we first have to get final clearance from the doctor that it's needed, that we have 4 fly-offs currently in the squad, and that's not determined yet.
So, did you say that the door's locked now for any potential player who still wants to come into this door? Yes, sorry.
No, look, as we said last time, we are selecting committee, apart from the selectors, all of our coaches sit in, the doctors sit in, everybody sits in, the scrum coach, the off-the-ball coach, and we've been monitoring, filtering players since, even with this new Regulation 8 coming out when we got John Klein. Actually Regulation 8, when it was changed, we had the chance to give input to that, and we actually voted against that, and then World Rugby decided that you can change nationalities or national teams that you played for. So, immediately when we saw that, we put a guy like Jean Klein on our radar and start monitoring him as well, because he now was also a player which we knew was available. So, there isn't a competition running currently where a guy can kick down the door and say, I'm going to win a World Cup for you. What we've seen so far, I think if you look at those 40 players, I think injury or when a competition, I know there's still a few guys that are playing, but not abroad. Currently, I think if you look at the squad, it must be somebody that say, hey, I'm going to win a World Cup for you, or injury enforced during the Rugby Championship.
Jacques, there's a question though. Can I ask you this? And I don't want you to give away your team. With Sia only available possibly in the mock matches, who's your potential leader for your Rugby Championship then?
Yeah, in terms of Sia, I think we mentioned it last time, is that Sia will stay our World Cup or our Springbok captain and captain for the World Cup until he's ruled out, until medically they say, listen, this guy will not make it. So he will stay there, and then we will use interim captains, and we discuss it with the players, and they know it's going to be like that. So we will use interim captains during the Rugby Championship. Pretty similar, I think, Percy, if you think what happened in 2019, Sia wasn't available for Rugby Championship, so he only started playing, I think, the last Argentina game in Pretoria. He came off the bench, and then his first start was against Japan in the warm-up game. So in terms of that, it's clear with the players, but we will use interim captains.
But Andre's got a niggle. Can you be more specific? Is there anybody, I would have thought that Andre's your next step. Who's the possible follow-up after?
Oh, there's lots.
Yeah, I don't think that you're not correct by accepting that. Firstly, there's lots. There's Stephen Kitchoff. You can both our hookers can be captain. I mean, you can have Eben as captain. You can have Pieter Steff has been the Springbok captain. Dwayne has been the Springbok captain. Dwayne Dalemde has been vice captain. Lukanya has been captain at his franchises. So again, in determining those first two matches, how we tackle those matches in terms of our strategy, we might have two different captains in the first two test matches, just because the Rugby Championship is so condensed in the Rugby World Cup year, and for us to fly with a team. And I don't think it's a secret that it's impossible almost to play Australia here, get on a plane, arrive there on a Tuesday morning, and I think it's almost disrespectful thinking you're going to arrive on a Tuesday and beat New Zealand flying through those time zones, So we will definitely split our resources there, and that might also bring two different captains in play. And again, that's why we say we've explained that to the players, but we don't want to speculate now 4 weeks out from the first test match, because we're still sorting out injuries and things like that. And Andre is certainly one of the guys, but I mean there's 7 guys who will help out at certain stages.
Rassie, talking of captains in particular, what have you made of the reports coming out of Ireland with regards to Ireland's captain, Johnny Sexton, being censured for what transpired in the Heineken Champions Cup final?
Yeah, I think my opinion would not change anything there, and we are trying our best now. I think if you look at everything with the regulations that World Rugby bringing out, the disciplinary processes, when we tried with Nigel Owens, we really now trying to build this relationship and getting to understand fully how they see, perceive, understand, and we're trying to get it right, because we know we'll be changing parts of our game to adapt to the way the referees might interpret certain things, because we definitely understand, and as I said, I've put my hand up many times, that that's not the way we can operate and win a World Cup. So to me to comment on that will just go totally against what we're trying to do, so I'll rather keep quiet on that. Thank you.
Rassie, maybe can I ask you this? As a director of rugby, from SA Rugby side, why do you guys feel the need, or why do you feel so strongly to get a player with the experience of Jean-Claude in the squad, though? Player 41, though. What is the thing that you guys felt the need to try and grow into the squad?
On the rugby side, I mean, these coaches are tracking them. I say the moment the Regulation 8 was changed, and I said we voted against that, and the moment they said, okay, no, this is the decision, guys can change, for what national team they can play. Then obviously we go, okay, but where do we benefit from this? Okay, a guy like Jean is a monster of a guy. He's played with RG how many games. We coach him at Munster. He comes right through the South African structures, but he wasn't available. And now he's available. He's won at URC, he knows most of the players here. And as I say, we always feel, we've got these lots of locks there, but every time we've gone to finals, we lost Louet in the final of the previous World Cup in the 20th minute, and South went immediately on. We almost run a little bit because the way we play our locks is there really a lot of burden of physicality and unlocks the way we play the game, and we felt we never have enough guys there, and yeah, with RG getting the role there at Munster of also calling 5 in the lineouts and calling lineouts, which he didn't before when he was with us. He got that experience of playing 4 and 5 lock. We felt that's a great cover of him, Marvin, South, and Louet. And now, obviously, they're having the luxury of RG, Eben, and Jean, who's being able to play front lock. That just really bolstered our squad.
I just want to ask the last question. Maybe Rassie, from a SA Rugby's point of view, just your thoughts. Yesterday we heard from the shots that Aphiwe Dyantyi is now back in the system, or rather they're going to consider him for next season. Can I ask you, as Director of Rugby, and it's important maybe for you to put out a statement and make this clear though, 2019, this time around, Aphiwe Dyantyi got this news that he's going to miss out on the World Cup. 4 years later, he's possibly going to miss out another World Cup. What is your thoughts on Aphiwe Dyantyi being back in the system, possibly next season? And what is your advice or warnings to potential professional players, especially now in the build-up to this big year, to another World Cup, how they should conduct themselves, especially doping?
Yeah, and because you asked as Director of Rugby, that I must make a statement on that. I think if you look at the penalty he paid, 4 years, it's just not worth doing something like that. And again, I'm not judging him as a person. I'm saying it's 4 years is long, and it would be so nonsensical for a player to try in this day and age where you just can't get away with something like that. I mean, we get tested every day in camp here. They get 4 or 5 players tested for the last year and a half, 2 years at every camp, every day. There's not a day that goes by that players don't get tested. So firstly, I don't think you need something like that to make it at the highest level. But then to get to Aphiwe, I believe in second chances. I believe when there's this is my personal view, if there's a ban and that's what the disciplinary decided, you've served with ban 4 years, it must have been a really tough guy. I really hope he comes back with a bang and he does really well at the Sharks. I hope we can pick him one day for the Springboks again. And I know a lot of people don't feel the same way about that, but I feel that's why there was a time period to the ban. So because after that you can consider a guy. And we believe in second chances, so hopefully he does well and we can look at him again.
Aphiwe, welcome back. It was a great year especially for your team, Munster and URC. What does it feel like being back in the national system again? And maybe as a second part of my question, can you give us some thoughts on Jean, your colleague? What do you think can he potentially bring to this national side?
Yeah, it's first of all, it's great to be back, and I've been here, sort of in between all the injuries and everything. But to actually be with the squad and be able to train fully is something different, and it's something special to me, for me to be here. So it's something that I've learned through this time to not take for granted. And then just having JK here is actually also special because he had a great season. He played, I think he started every game for Munster, and the way he plays the game is I think speaks for itself. So it's great to have him here.
Now, just talk us through the mental anguish of having to deal with the period of injuries that you've had since the 2019 World Cup. If I stand to be correct, you haven't featured for the Boks since the World Cup because of injuries.
Yeah, no, you are right, and that was a very tough thing for me, especially not being able to play for the Springboks, But it was also the thing that drove me to get myself better and get back to being on field and get myself to a place where I can be, back here.
Erg, dat is wel Afrikaans, zin is terug.
Ja, is wat?
Erg, welkom terug bij Spring Rugby. Hoe voelt het om weer, zo'n collega gevraagd, je hebt ook met beserings, maar je skielik weer terug in die Spring opzet. Hoe voelt het om terug te wees en wat denk je, wat kan JK ook brengen naar die nationale opzet?
Ja, dit is baie lekker om terug te wees en dit is eerlikwaar 'n voorreg om by die Bokke te wees en dit is iets wat mens besef as jy nie is nie, jy weet, en mens moet dit nie mens moet dit nie lig vat om hier te wees nie en ek's baie bly vir Jake dat hy ook hier is. Dit is vir my lekker dat hy hier is want hy het regtig oor die laaste paar jaar goeie seisoen gehad en hy het oor die afgelope seisoen elke game vir Munster gestart en ek dink die manier hoe hy die game speel, jy weet, is vanselfsprekend en ek's bly dat hy gerecognised word vir dit.
Erg, if I can ask you, if you weigh up competition for starting places, not necessarily starting places, but places in the squad at lock, how does that compare now to what it was 4 years ago for you?
Well, I think the most important thing in this squad is we all understand our role and you know, we work towards that and we work well together as well to strengthen each other and to, you know, the competition between us is actually great because I think it brings the best out of us and that will only allow us to be better, you know. So I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah.
Erg, was daar tye gewees sedert die vorige wêreldbeker wat jy in die tyd toe beseer was gewonnen het of jy ooit weer die Springbok gaan speel?
Ja, dit is obviously iets wat deur jou kop gaan, jy weet, maar soos ek vroeër gesê, dit is nie jou reg om hier te wees nie, dit is 'n voorreg om hier te wees en dit is nie maklik om hier te wees nie, maar die lekker ding van om voorheen hier te gewees het is jy weet wat dit vat om hier te wees. So ek weet as ek hard genoeg werk en hard genoeg speel, dan hopelik kry ek weer die geleentheid.
Talking competition, how are you enjoying the competition that you're having with Stephen Kitzbühel, especially with how well you two guys played throughout the URC?
I mean, it's not really, I wouldn't say it's a competition, we just merely try to help each other. I mean, watching Stephen play for the Stormers actually pushes me to actually get better. So I enjoy that. I mean, he's a quality player, he's already won a World Cup. So it's something that I aspire to as well. It's like, I see what he does and I try to do it as good as he does or better. So it's a great, like it just, you just go as a player naturally. So, I enjoy that really a lot.
And also, what your coach is saying, you guys are solely focused on that first task against Australia. The reality is that in the back of your minds, Erg's minds, you guys are probably looking ahead to that big assignment in France. The competition will get much bigger internally in that squad, isn't it?
Oh, I get you, but I mean, you climb a mountain step by step, really. So, like, we have to do well now in the championship so we can build momentum to the World Cup. As much as it is in the back of our minds, but we know we have a task ahead. Like, you have to play well now. You have to show that you're actually good enough to actually make that squad in the end. So I think that's the most important for us now. It's like taking these matches step by step, week by week, and when we get to a World Cup, so we can be ready and face the challenge then.
Being out of the national setup for 4 years, that's a lot can change in that time. But has it helped you that there's quite a bit that's still the same? Basically your whole locking department is very similar to the 2019 World Cup. Has that helped you ease back in easier?
Yeah, it's definitely it's easier to come back into a system, and you've worked with guys before, and you know them, so they actually got me up to speed pretty quickly, So I'd say that's the biggest difference for being away so long is that connection with other guys.
And Ox, obviously, dropping out of the URC quite early is disappointing for a lot of the guys. But has it helped you guys being involved in the Springbok camp from Durban to Cape Town, now here? Has that helped give you guys quite a bit of momentum, after dropping out of the competition so early?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you get aligned much more, but it's always better you want to be aligned all together. So as much as you kind of see the pictures that the coach is trying to give you, and you obviously want to improve on that, but seeing the whole picture come together is actually that's when you actually understand your role within the system. But it has helped in understanding what the coaches are trying to achieve and our way forward.
Jacques, as Jacques, er was twee mini-campus hier genoemd
Ja.
in Durban geweest. Nou, hoekom is het belangrijk om 3 weke samen te wees en 'n groter groep mee te werk hierdie keer?
Ja, presies. Ek dink die twee minikampe was se spesifieke doel was basies maar ouens wat vroeg uit kompetisies uitval om hulle nog steeds 'n mate van blootstelling te gee aan rugby, jy weet, want en van die spelers is daar 6 weke sou daar's meer as 'n 6 weke breek gewees het vanaf hulle uitgeval het en hulle laaste rugbywedstryd gespeel het tot waar ons nou maandag begin het hier in Pretoria. So ek dink dit was die idee van daai twee minikampe is net so om ergens tussen in daai lang breek om hulle bietjie bloot te stel aan rugby. Maar daai kampe was ons het nie in die eerste kamp, ek dink ons het 9 ouens gehad wat op die veld was, so uit die aard van die saak, die tipe voorbereiding wat jy daar gedoen het, was baie meer op fundamentals, jy weet, en nie so kwaai taktiese aspekte van die spel nie. Waar nou omdat ons vergrote groepe is, amper 2 volspanne van 30 wat teen mekaar kan oefen, kan 'n ou baie meer takties met die span begin werk aan strategie ensovoorts. En dan hierdie 3 weke is vir ons voorbereiding vir die Rugby Kampioenskappe en dan uit die aard van die saak die opwarmingswedstryde daarna en dan die wêreldbeker.
Update oor CS vordering en dan oor die leierskap self. Julle tevrede dat genoeg leiers om julle deur die kampioenskap te dra?
Ja, in terme van die SIA gaan ons ek dink ons het dit al verskeie kere genoem, SIA sal ons kaptein bly en is ons wêreldbeker kaptein tot en met die mediese span vir ons sê hy's uitgereken, hy is medies nie meer verkiesbaar nie, maar op die stadium doen SIA goed, hy kan ek maar sê, hy kry al sy merkers wat daar vir hom gestel word, bereik hy in die tyd wat hy dit moet bereik. En dan, ja, ons het dit openhartig met die span bespreek, ons sal verskillende kapteine gebruik deur die loop van die tyd, en daar's verskeie kapteine, van 2018 wat ek hier was, saam met Ras, is daar al verskeie ouens wat kaptein was vir die span, wat nog steeds in die groep is, jy weet, so, dis nie asof dit nie iets is wat hulle al voorheen gedoen het nie.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you very much.
Dankie.